Oh, you're welcome to make your way. Corvus, if you want to make your way in as well, I can now pull out. I don't know. I don't think so, to be honest. They're very healthy at the moment, and it's just now going to be a matter of luck. Now, we don't know necessarily that the Birmingham boys... I'm going to... Cub's immediately going to comfort their aunt. Brave little cub. Snarling at the Birmingham boy. He went to test her scent, and she went to wallop him in return. And settling back down again. Oh, that certainly woke everybody up, didn't it? There's suddenly motion everywhere. Cubs playing, cubs growling, cubs yowling. They all got up and immediately moved to the safety of the adult females. And we've seen what the females can do when they want to, or when they feel threatened. But all is well, and they're all happy. And it was more just a gentle family discussion than anything else in lion terms. He is waiting to see if Amber Eyes is coming back into estrus. Perhaps he missed his chance with the young female. Oh, the little cubs. Just letting you listen to the sounds that are coming from these lions. Amber Eyes' lip went up in a bit of a snarl there. And one brave cub is going to tackle the Birmingham boy's tail. Told him in no uncertain terms to please get out of here and stop causing trouble. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a lioness whack a male on the nose like as gently as that. I stayed quiet for that, so that you could get the full effect of the various sounds that you were hearing there. Without any luck and having just been bopped on the nose by a female, he went to take it out on his coalition mate, who behaved very, very submissively, and therefore didn't provoke any further aggression. He then proceeded to mark his territory, and is now going around doing thorough scent testing of all the urine puddles. What's amazing about that is immediately the lionesses are up, about, urinating, and the cubs immediately respond by making such a fuss. And then look, now he's the best thing to come and play with. Very brave of them, considering that show of aggression we just saw, but they know that he's no major threat to them. He's Dad. That's not a growl or a snarl, it's a phlegm and grimace. And just like that, everybody calms down again. How were those sound effects, though? My favorite part of that is the cubs. I love how as soon as somebody starts growling and snarling, they all join in like they're big and scary. Aha, another phlegm and grimace. I think it's safe to say he lost his opportunity with that young lioness. I think the fourth male must have come in and taken over and chased him away, although he doesn't have any cuts or scratches. Though a serious display of dominance. Oh, bless you. So what he's doing there, for our new viewers, is a movement that we very often get to see. It's called a Flehmen grimace, F-L-E-H-M-E-N, and he is basically tasting the smells of the various lionesses around him, testing to see whether he might get lucky with any of them. They're not terribly impressed by it all. No, that's a cub, mister. Spitting out a mouthful of mane. Oh, that was a very cool sighting. Careful. Be very careful, little cub, which parts you attack. You might find yourself in serious trouble. Look at this cub losing a lioness as a jungle gym. Awesome. All is calmed down now, and we've become incredibly familiar with our Nkuhuma lionesses, and I'm sure we all look forward to getting to know some of the lion prides from Kenya. Let's go and have a look.
Let me introduce you, everybody, to the Kichwa Tembo pride. This is one of the females, a youngster. We think she's just lost her cubs, and they're sitting here just as the sun goes down over the Olololo escarpment. To her right-hand side, one of the males, a Marsh coalition. Now, many of you will have heard of the Marsh pride, of course, having watched and been fascinated by the Big Cat Diaries. Well, these males come from that pride. And this female, we think, has lost her cubs, like I say. The three males, this male and his two brothers, have just come into this area. They've taken over. They've killed at least 5 cubs. There might be 2 left. We're not sure at this stage. But this female seems to be in anestrus. Now, we saw that with the Nkuhumas, and the Birminghams took over. And what happens is, of course, they go into a fourth stage of estrus. When they lose their cubs, they urinate and they solidify a bond with the new males by mating with them. And I think that's what's going on here. We watched them courting yesterday evening, and you could very clearly see still she's got 2 swollen teats, so I think she's very obviously lost cubs very recently. So that's the first of the Kichwa Tembo pride to introduce you to, and the first, of course, of the Marsh coalition. Now, the Marsh coalition of males is 3, like I say. The other 2, I think, are in the drainage line just below us here. I've missed her yawn every single time. Graham is going to be so cross with me. And you can see, here we go, very interesting stuff going on. Now, look at his mane. He's older than our Birmingham boys. I think he's probably about 7, this chap. He's not a young lion. He's got a very full mane. Why he's just taken over this area, we're not sure. Why not earlier? Where were they before this? And of course, this is the domain of the famous scar-faced male lion. This is just beautiful, isn't it? Look at that, everybody. The light's just gone, but that's okay. Now we get into the hunt. We think, well, they may lie down for the whole night, but they might do a little bit of hunting too. He's exhausted. Now, these are the 2 we saw hunting today, everyone. We saw an amazing thing. This lioness killed that baby orphan wildebeest. Nasty lady. But she has to eat. And you can see they're in pristine condition. Now, if you want to learn how to identify this male lion, the best way to do it, of course, is to see that he has no pom-pom at all on the back of his tail. Watch as he flicks it to and fro, you will see. There we go. You see, it looks kind of like a snake almost without its pom-pom. So we'll call him No Pom-Pom. No, we don't have to call him that. Now, many of these lions, of course, do not have names. In fact, they don't have names at all. And we know at Safari Live that in order to identify our special animals, we quite like to name them every so often. So if you would like to come up with some names, we can do that. She's got a spotty belly, so I'm going to suggest we call her Spotty Belly. I think we should perhaps call him something like a snake tail. It sounds very ominous indeed. Perhaps better than No Pom-Pom. What do you think, Chandra?
Not too bad.
And you can see also how golden she is. She really is the most gorgeous colour. Now this grass, everyone, 3 days ago was that sort of, it wasn't brown, but it was very much straw-coloured rather than this green. And it's a little bit of rain that they've had here. I'm not sure how much it is exactly, but that's turned everything green. It's so exciting to introduce you to a new group of characters, and I hope during the course of the next little while we will be able to introduce you to the rest of this pride. Certainly we should be able to get the rest of the Marsh coalition of males. They are down just in this sort of drainage stream not too far from here, and maybe the other 5 lionesses. We have met only 4 of the lionesses so far. They were off hunting yesterday evening, and she kind of cut off from them and went off on her own with him. And it was so interesting to see, because it's exactly what happened when the Birminghams took over in the Sabi Sand. One of the lionesses, and I think it was Amber Eyes initially, extracted from the rest of the pride. They didn't have cubs at the time, but of course the Birminghams had killed many lionesses, and so they were trying to solidify this bond. They were trying to reduce the conflict between the resident males and the females, and that's exactly what's happened here. Just stunning stuff. Alright, Chandra, I'm going to suggest that we ooze forward slightly and see if we can't look down into this drainage and just see. Hello, Tasha Michelle. You say this lion is huge. How close are we? He is big, but he's not unusually large. That's me in my cockpit, everybody. We're not going to drive long with this view. Just go around the corner. Tasha Michelle, he's about probably, I'd say, 20% larger than a Birmingham boy, but that's not because the lions of East Africa are any larger than the lions of the Sabi Sant. It's because he's older. He's probably a year or maybe 18 months older than the lions than those Birmingham boys. Now, but there are some cars in front of us. That's where they were lying earlier today. Just going to ease forward. We're braking. Let's just go a little bit forward here. There seem to be a few people parked. Andre, can you see me? Where then? Flash at 3 o'clock. Should we turn down?
We managed to relocate on those elephants we had a little bit earlier, and they are just munching around in this little spot. As you can see, they haven't actually moved too far at all from where we had them, just off that main road. Now if you look very carefully, possibly if you go towards her back, I don't know, Eggsy, if you can see all that mud that is just in the middle of her back over there. I'll have a look at this. Now remember where we just saw that hippo? Most likely this female and the rest of the herd, at some point today when it was nice and hot, found one of those wallows and covered themselves with that muddy water. and that would have kept her nice and cool. They don't sweat like we as humans sweat, so they need to try and cool themselves down via a number of ways. And the most effective way to cool yourself down if you're an elephant is to cover yourself in the water. Look at her, how she's eating this tree. Look at that, nothing's stopping her. Picking it up if it only weighed a few grams. She's going for the bark, I see. See how she pulled that entire branch off. Now she's chewing away at it. Keep pulling. There we go. You can actually hear, listen to this, everybody. Can you hear that? Can you hear how she's crunching down on those branches? So as I was saying earlier, the roots and a lot of these branches have got quite a nice water content to them. So even though elephants have to drink lots and lots of water every day, a lot of the water is actually coming from the food that they're eating, especially in the summer months when the grass is covered with lots of dew. That's often the way that they get their water as well, but they still need to drink large quantities. So here's a quiz for all of you. How many liters do you think an elephant has to drink every single day? Got that? Let's see if anybody gets it right. Let's have another look at this elephant as she crunches down on her delicious branch. There's still more elephants coming, by the way. This is just one female. The others have been rumbling in the distance, so I presume they're coming this side. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you that our hippopotamus actually got out the water and decided to go off on an afternoon stroll. But he moved out quite quickly. So he indeed was taking advantage as the weather has cooled quite a bit. And I'm glad to see that the elephants didn't disturb him too much. See how she's carefully prodding with her trunk, finding bits that she doesn't like that are maybe too sharp and poking her in the mouth, and then how she realigns it. But the thorns don't bother the elephants too much, everybody. They have got very tough skin on their inside around their lips, and as well as their tongue being quite resilient too. She didn't like that piece though. I think she's dropped it now. She's going to look for another piece. So she's pushing down with her head. There's lots and lots of weight behind her head, so often that does help with snapping the branches. And these seem to be quite flexible branches too. We are live, everybody. This is a live safari that you're watching in the middle of the African wilderness as we watch this elephant tear apart this tree. So if you'd like to send me any questions, or Jamie or James in the Masai Mara, you're welcome to either hashtag Safari Life, as well as sending us an email. And you can send the email to questions@WildEarthTV. And I look forward to hearing from some of you. We've only got a few, maybe we only got about 30 or 40 minutes of light. I'm actually not sure what the time is. Maybe about 40 minutes of light left. And then we're going to be switching to infrared. And then maybe we should try and hang around with these elephants as it gets dark, just to see what they look like and what they get up to. Have a look at this little one. So we've got a few answers coming in for how many liters of water does an elephant drink. And Vlad thinks 20 to 30 liters. Vlad, unfortunately, you're incorrect. It's a little bit more than that. I'm not going to give the answer away just yet, because I think there are some of you out there who could possibly know. But it is a lot of water, everybody. But good guess, Vlad. And keep trying and keep participating in these quizzes. They're really great way to learn. And Isabel, what a good guess. Isabel thinks it's about 190 liters of water. Isabel, a little bit too much. I think we'll do one more answer to this question, and then I'll give you the correct answer. But hopefully the next person to answer gets it right. What do you think? How much do you think an elephant drinks a day? And you can watch this little one now also doing what mom's doing, chewing on the bark. And this one's quite an old calf. You can see the tusks protruding there. And with the combination of how well it can use its trunk, I'm going to guess and think that this elephant is around probably between 3.5, 4 years old. A younger elephant, I don't think, would be able to strip the bark off of this branch as well as this one is managing to do. You can see they're twisting it around, chewing and biting with those molars to loosen the bark, and then they'll eat, and then this little one will spit it out afterwards. There we go. No, not done with it yet. I see a little bit more bark on there. Oh, slipped out of its trunk. Yep, going to move on and try for something else. Very dark and grey, and it looks quite miserable in the bush. But not for too much longer. We had a good amount of rain, so I think we're going to see some colour. We saw our first flower yesterday afternoon. I found a morning glory, and I think that that's just the start of the colours of the bush that we're going to be seeing. What are you looking for? Goodness, twisting and turning its trunk around. Big shake. Mia, my cat, has guessed 60 litres. Unfortunately, everybody, that isn't the correct answer, so I'm going to tell you, and I hope you're all taking note. It's always good to take notes. I've got about 3 different notebooks that I fill with note. Now, an African elephant can drink anywhere between 100 and 120 litres of water every single day. This little one is probably not drinking that amount. Of course, the amounts I just told you are for adult elephants. I'm actually not sure how many litres a young elephant calf would drink. This young calf is not really suckling anymore. If mom decides to show herself, we'll actually be able to see that her mammary glands have subsided quite a bit, and she won't produce too much milk now until she has another calf. And hopefully in the next 1.5 or 2 years, she'll be able to have another calf. The gestation period is about 22 months, so it's quite a long time. And that means that she'll have a calf anywhere between 4 to 5 years. We're going to hang around with these ellies just for a little bit longer and see if the rest of the herd comes through to join them. And I think James has managed to pick up some signal. So let's go to him and see the lions.
Right, this is the next one, everybody. This is, I think we should call Blondie. He is blonder than the others. I stand to correction, but I think you can see that his mane is blonder. He has a complete tail, unlike the ones that the first chap that we saw, that has no pom-pom on his tail at all. And then you can see he's not doing a great deal. If we go off to the right-hand side there, Jandri, you can see the third of the Marsh coalition of males that have recently taken over this area. There he is there. Doing what lions do very best of all in all the world. Nothing. So that's them. Now, we've still got, of course, 5 lions of this pride to meet. We don't know if they're going to go hunting today. And you know what the interesting thing is, and we'll go back towards those other 2 lions now. The interesting thing is that so many things die here of natural causes. And indeed, as I said, I think when I was last time here, it's one of the major reasons we think that bipedalism, which is what you and I do when we're walking around, developed or evolved. Because there's this massive food source in these plains that goes uneaten by scavengers because so much dies of natural causes. So these lions don't always have to kill, they scavenge quite a lot, but there's lots of fresh meat for them to eat too. Now, we're going to attempt one more drive. We're going to go down through this little drainage here, you can see, and we'll go back to the female and missing tail there, and we'll see what they're doing on top of that termite mound. Right, here we go. Now, Jesse, very good question. You want to know why it is, thank you, Jean-Andre, you want to know, Jesse, why it is that sometimes lions don't kill prey if the prey doesn't run away. Well, it depends entirely on the prey, and certainly if you're a human being, what you try and do is when you see a lion on foot, you have to stand very still, because what prey does, of course, is run away. Now, it's just like a cat. If something moves in front of a cat, the cat gets up and chases it. And it's the same with a lion. And it's exactly the same thing that happened to the little wildebeest. The first time the wildebeest ran away from the lions today, it turned and faced the lion, and the lion stopped. Because they don't understand what that means. They don't want to be hurt. They want to avoid any physical confrontation. And then when they turn around and run, turn their backs, that's when the lions realize, of course, that they had the advantage and they follow through. I hope that explains the answer. Now, all these other vehicles that are going past us now, unfortunately for them, have to leave the reserve. Goodbye, have a lovely dinner. We have got very special permission to be in here after dark. And so we'll see how long we're going to be here. Who knows how long it will be. It could be till 10:30 Central African time. It could be until much later than that. Let's see. Just going to go around this car and we'll get another look at these lions on the top of this termite mound here. There we are. Andre, I'm not convinced the top of my head is the best thing for these people to be looking at. There we are. We've got some lions now. And we will be able to go off-road at some stage. Off-road driving is not hugely fashionable in these parts, but we've got permission to do that too as night falls, and that's how we're going to follow these animals on the hunt. Hello Liz, you're interesting about how the sizes compare to our Nkuhumas and Birminghams. Liz, I think that you will find that the male is pretty much this. Well, he's a bit bigger because he's older, but I think he's not necessarily larger. It's known, for example, the Kalahari lions tend to be a little larger than our Kruger lions, but these chaps look to be around about the same size, I reckon, as our Birminghams. I would put them at slightly smaller than the Matimbas. And then this female is small, but I think that's because she's young. I think she's probably just finished with her first litter. Oh, and the first litter unfortunately killed. And she's now making peace with the new masters of the area. Thank you for that, Liz. Quite a remarkable thing that we're able to do this from the Sabi Sands as well. And of course, our favourite Nkuhumas sitting there as we speak with their little cubs, which is just great. Now, let me stand up again. If you hear some grunting and groaning, it's my old bones. There we are. Made it. Hello everybody. Now, just have a quick look at the Olulolo escarpment there. There where Dennis Fitch-Hatton was made dust to dust, as it were. On the back end of his adventures with Karen Blixen. And I'll just give you a little bit of a listen to this great East African sunset. This is quite interesting information we're getting through from the internet. Now, we've been trying very hard to find out what's going on with these lions. There seems to be a lack of clarity. And we've just had an interesting message from Karen. Thank you, Karen, for that, who's in turn receiving information from various sources. And that is that there are 4 Marsh Pride males. And apparently, distinctively, that one without the tail is one of them. I don't know if that means that they're dominant over the Marsh Pride themselves, which occurs or lives, the territory certainly is bounded by the Mara River. Why then, and Scar apparently is one of these 4, why then they should have killed the cubs, I don't know. That's very strange indeed, but we'll try and get a handle on this, and this is the great joy of being here right now, of course, is that we're able to try and figure out what's happening. As far as we're aware, these 3 males, well, I mean, we were told there were 3 males, have come into this area and have just taken over. But we'll try and find out and get some clarity as the evening goes on. Let's head back to South Africa and watch the southern sunset going down.
I guess an African sunset can't be beaten. And I think for the moment we'll just sit in silence for a couple of seconds and enjoy this incredible scene in front of us. The vulture found that lilac-breasted roller's attack all pretty boring, as that yawn indicated. Stunning. You can't really beat a vulture silhouette in a dead tree, can you? I'm sure you got some amazing screenshots. In the poetic words of Geraldine Kent, sometimes Africa provides scenes so beautiful they could be paintings. Alrighty, now that we've taken a moment to soak in the atmosphere of an African evening, I have left the Nkuhumu cubs for now and moved off ever so slightly just to give some of the other vehicles a chance to spend a little bit of time there. When they're done, we might move back in depending on the light left available for us. But in the meantime, we do have this magnificent male lion right next to the vehicle. So there you go. From one lion pride to one lone male. We're about, I would actually say we're probably only about 300 meters away from where the rest of the Nkuhumas and the other two Birmingham boys are. And this gentleman, I think, just decided that actually he wasn't really in the mood for little biting teeth, and as we saw earlier, one grumpy male, and he decided that actually he's quite happy to settle down over here and enjoy spending a little bit of time on the road away from everyone, and a bit of peace in his life. How amazing is that? Lions from South Africa, lions in Kenya, an opportunity to look right into a lion's eyes. And that is a stare that has inspired writers and painters and artists and poets and conservationists across the world. What is with you and your half yawns today? He nearly yawned earlier as well, and then just sat like this with his tongue sticking out. It's quite sweet. Now, the nice thing about this situation, of course, is usually we would be winding down the sunset safari, talking a little bit about the fact that we only have half an hour or so for him to start yawning. That is not the case today. He's looking across at the rest of the pride. We can't see them from where we are, but he knows they're there and he can hear them. Oh, distraction. Distraction by a fly. And this evening we will be able to sit in the darkness with this male lion and watch as he goes about his day-to-day, night-to-night business. What will the Nkuhumas be up to tonight? We won't be following them with their cubs if they do go off-road. If they are still in exactly the same place, we will be able to sit with them with all of our lights off and with the infrared, so that we obviously are not spotlighting the cubs, we're not providing any additional noise or light. But if they move, then my decision will be not to follow them, So we won't be following the Nkuhumas at night. Not with those little cubs. The lionesses on their own would be a different story, but not with the cubs. But our big Birmingham boys are big enough and tough enough, and we'll be able to stick with them and experience a side of the African bush that we haven't until yet been able to. It's going to be an incredible experience. I'm so excited. I can't wait. At some point, surely these lions are going to have to roar. That's their job as big dominant male lions. Make a lot of noise, let everybody know that they are dominant in this area, that all is fine and well, and that they are healthy and a force to be reckoned with. The world is our proverbial oyster, or at least Djuma. Djuma is our proverbial oyster as night starts to fall. And just so you know, we have not been sent out into the wilds unsupplied. Dave and myself, as well as Taylor and Zander, we're giving a lunchbox. I haven't had a lunchbox since I was a child, or maybe a teenager, let's be more honest. Since I was a teenager, we've got a lunchbox. It's got sweets and sandwiches and bits of fruit and all kinds of things. We've got more water than we could possibly drink, and some Powerade. We've got it all happening here in the back of Rusty. The supplies are endless, so you don't need to worry about us. We're going to be more than perfectly fed and energized. I can't wait to find out what was on my sandwiches. And James Richards and Kruger sightings, you are as excited as we are about this evening's drive, and of course the fun. Look, those of you who've been with us for an extended period of time, you know this is going to be a new... Sorry, yawn. There we go. Thank you. Well done, Dave. We've been waiting for that moment, it feels like, for a very long time. You know that we're going to have to practice, and that sometimes something might go wrong, and we're all learning. We're still not entirely sure of the whole process. I think that's going to be half the fun. You get to join with us and learn with us and laugh at us when something doesn't particularly go as planned. I'm sure we're all going to have a marvellous time together. Right now this Birmingham boy is being thoroughly playful and trying to catch the flies. Although that's taken on a whole different dimension now that I've seen that injury of that poor Birmingham boy. Oh, such a tired boy. I wish we could solve the mystery of the mated pair. Where did she go? Where did they go? Perhaps we'll even have the 4 Birmingham boys together again for our first night. What an adventure this shall be. It's going to be an interesting experience for us as well, as guides. In some situations we might be sitting surrounded by lions that you can see and we can see on our monitor, but we won't be able to see with the naked eye. And that's going to be a whole different ball game for us. Another big yawn, a couple of paw licks. Most of you are familiar with our lion body language. That usually means somebody is thinking about stirring. The thought has at least crossed his mind. While we wait for our apex predator to stand up and decide what he's going to be up to, let's jump on board with Taylor, who has got another massive animal for you.
My goodness, look at the strength of this female. Look how she's using her tusks to lift up and move that branches on the ground. Now, while you've been away, this female elephant has been digging her way down towards the roots. Now, if she digs in the deep, if she digs any deeper, she's going to end up getting to China. And it's actually been quite comical because the youngster has been shouting every now and then when mom won't let it take the route that she has dug up. And it's quite funny. The little one's all the goodies, but without any of the work. And it's just incredible how she's able to use her feet like that and dig up all the roots. Look at that. See all that lovely soil that she's kicking out as well. All nice, and it'll be great fertilizer. Look how she's trying to move those branches out the way again. She's found something that she's thoroughly enjoying. Oh, James has got some roaring lions in the Mara, everybody.
We've got some action here, everybody. We've got roaring lions. These ones are not roaring right now, but she started roaring, and the brothers are now roaring from behind here. This is great stuff. As she roared, he stood up. That's another male behind us. He's marking territory as his brother calls from behind. Now it's going to be fascinating over the next 5 days to try and figure out what's going on here. Who's who in the zoo, as it were. They've been calling a lot recently, every single night. Tired fellow, is he behind the bush view there, Jean-Ro? Is he all right? He's biting his tail now. Well, that's probably an indication as to how he lost the end of it. What an idiot. Now, just before we go back to, I think we're having quite a nice elephant sighting. We'll just wait and see what these guys do, but while they do, we've got 4 names of male lions of what could be the same coalition, one of which is Scar. We don't know if that is the same famous lion, Scarface, that lost his eye and right eyelid to a fight, and he was actually rescued as well by a vet because he was nearly killed by a herdsman. Now, we don't know if that's the same Scar that's in this coalition of 4. It would seem to me that it most certainly is not, because these guys have come in and killed the cubs that were probably Scarface's cubs. Let's move forward a little bit. I'll just try and ease my way down here. And we'll shortly be going to the infrared, everybody. How's that, John-Dre? Now you can see his mane is a bit fuller than the Birmingham manes, and that's just, like I say, a function of his age. It's not because he's any bigger, any more special in any way. It's simply that he is older. You might just be able to hear the robins calling in the background. And photographs which we will post shortly. Most of them will be completely blurry because I've been taking them. Graham took a couple, so they should be fine. So night is falling beautifully, and it's just a real privilege to be out here at this time of the day. There's a gentle breeze blowing in from the north. Hello, Lynn. We did an experiment precisely for this reason yesterday, and you want to know, do we think the lions will be comfortable with us at night, or do you think they won't be? You think they might be afraid? Lynn, we got some really nice stuff from them last night, and we followed them for quite a long time, and they were absolutely fine. They were just like Sabi sand lions. They went about their business, and they seemed to be completely satisfied with having us around. The other piece of equipment that we have with us here is something called a FLIR, which is basically a thermal imaging camera, and it's an amazing thing. Jean-Ro will just quickly show you what does not look the most epic image you've ever seen in your life. But those white things there are the lions. They look like two white lizards. Two tropical house geckos, everybody. But what we will be able to see, of course, how this will help us immeasurably, is when we're following them on the hunt. We're not going to put white light on them if they're hunting. If they're eating or if they're clearly marking territory, then we would white light them a little bit. We don't have much white light here, but otherwise it's going to be the infrared and that quite interesting thermal imaging camera. Let's get back to them. It's almost time to put on the thermal imaging, and we're going to try, as far as I know, I'm just going to ask for confirmation here from Rebecca. Basically, we will only go infrared the same time as South Africa does. Is that correct? So it's a little bit lighter there than it is here. And so we'll just wait for it to get a little bit dark. There's a red-eyed dove in the background. That's one of my favourite calls. Let's just listen. Obviously it's stopped now. Hello Ashka, an interesting one about what effect that lion might have, how his life might be different because he doesn't have his pom-pom. You say, would it affect his ability to navigate and perhaps communicate at night with the other lions? Ashka, I don't think so. I'm sure it would be a slight difference. I'm sure it would be easier for him to be followed through the bush if he had it. I'm sure that I don't think balance would make any difference at all. It's largely a following mechanism. So for other animals to follow him, slightly more difficult perhaps, but I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. If you think about some of the animals, I'm going to use the term maimed, that we've seen, that 2/3 trunk elephant, and we know that she's absolutely fine. That is such an insignificance in comparison. Alrighty, while the light fades in South Africa, let's head back to the elephants with Taylor.
We're just capturing the last glimpses of light, as James says, here in South Africa. And hopefully a little bit later we'll be able to see what these elephants look like and how they interact with us with the infrared lights. Now, they are supposedly not, that they're not able to see those lights, so hopefully it won't have too much of an impact on them. And this female elephant, as you can see, she's on an absolute roll. She's been kicking over lots of small trees and digging out their roots, just like she was doing right now. And I'm sure that youngster, there he comes again, coming in to see if he can pick up Mom's scraps. Mom was getting very upset with the little one a few moments ago. And hopefully, as Mom is digging up all these roots, this youngster is taking notice of how Mom is doing it, how she's using her feet. It's quite amazing how she utilizes every part of her body. So a few minutes ago there was a really, obviously quite a deep-rooted root, and she was struggling to pull it up with her trunk. So it was incredible. She went down onto her knees, her front legs, and she sort of locked her feet underneath it. Then she stood up and she stretched back onto her back legs and completely ripped the root straight out of the ground. I've never seen that technique before. It was quite amazing how she did that. They're happily munching away. So elephants do feed for about 19 hours a day. So I suspect when we do see them a little bit later, they are just going to be eating. They will normally rest during the hot hours of the day and keep moving at night. Go on, little one, go in and see if you can pick up some more of Mom's roots that she's left behind. It's got a little twig of some sort. Maybe it's this very small root that it's munching on. And every now and then as well, this youngster tries to take a little suckle. But I think, unfortunately, Mom's milk is not as sweet as it used to be. Let's see what she's going to do now. You can see there how the back of her heel, she's using almost like a spade, and she scoops the dirt into that indentation and it all comes out. Now, we've been seeing the elephants eating the roots, and I was telling you earlier a little bit about how elephants sort of eat the trees. Now, Tasha Michelle would like to know, do they just eat bits of the tree to get the bark or to get any nutrients, or are they just sort of crushing it and getting the liquid out of it? And now, yeah, sort of a yes answer for both of them. It depends on if it's a new branch or if it's an old branch. A new branch is a lot softer and it's easier for them to sort of crunch away, and then what they may do is they may eat entire parts of it. If it's an older branch, then they're normally just stripping the bark to try and get to the cambium level. So outside that harder, rough bark, just on the inside of that, there's a layer called a cambium layer that has got quite a bit of nutrients, and that's the layer that the nutrients are indeed transported from the roots to the leaves. Now, in the winter months, there's no need to do this because there are no leaves on the tree, and that's when you see them putting the branches into their mouths and just sort of corkscrewing them around, and then they're just going for the cambium layer. But sometimes, like I said, if it's a young branch, they'll actually squash the entire thing and eat it whole. The other elephants have moved off completely out of sight. We just hear them rumbling every now and then, just communicating with each other. Now, elephant communication is quite amazing. They have 4 main ways that they communicate, and often we hear a trumpeting. Now, trumpeting isn't a good sign, everybody. Normally it means that they are in distress. However, it could also mean that they are excited. And we were witnessing a little bit, just while we were off camera, this youngster throwing a tantrum and was letting out a few trumpets, just very upset with mom. The other way that we sort of hear is the rumblings that seem to come from their stomachs, and it's sort of a, I'm going to try and imitate the rumbling, everybody. I don't know how good that was, but that is my impersonation of an elephant rumble, and that can travel quite a distance. So those rumblings sort of start in their stomachs, and I think they go right down into their feet, into the ground. And elephants have got sensory nerves in their feet that allows them to pick up those vibrations from many kilometers away. The rest of their communication is done through infrasound, which unfortunately is frequencies so low that we cannot hear them. She is on a digging spree, everybody. And I don't blame her, though. She might as well make the most of digging for roots. And then she'll be rewarded with lovely fresh shoots of grass that are coming up in the moment. Now, when she's pulling up these roots, I don't know if you've seen, let's just watch quickly. When she pulls them up, and hopefully we'll see it, there's quite a bit of soil still left on the root. Now, normally what they'll do is they'll shake it slightly just to get rid of some of that soil. They often do that with grass when they pull the entire roots out of the ground. There we go. See, she's got a bit of a bulb there as well. They'll shake them a little bit, there we go, like she's doing there. See how she's moving it around in her trunk? She's trying to get rid of that soil. So Oakley has asked if the soil damages their teeth. Now, Oakley, that is indeed correct. To a point, it does wear it down to some extent. That is why they do spend a considerable amount of time, like we just witnessed now, of her rolling it around on her trunk, trying to get rid of some of that sand. And as I was saying, they do it with the grass too. They will wrap their trunks around some nice long pieces of grass, and then they will shake it and try and get all that soil that is clumped onto the edge of the roots, and then eat it. But of course, they can't get all of it, to get rid of all of it, I'm afraid. So it does wear down their teeth a little bit. That's what we were chatting about earlier, is that their teeth tend to wear down a lot quicker during these winter months when the vegetation is scarce and they have to sort of dig for it beneath the ground. In the summer months where it's lovely, lush and green, it's not such a problem. Everybody, all the insects have just come alive. I'm going to sit very quiet for about a minute and just let you enjoy the wonderful sounds of nature while you watch these beautiful animals. Can you hear how everything has just come alive in the last few minutes? A lot of insects. I can hear some cicadas and crickets, and I can even hear the occasional frog squeaking away in the distance. And the birds that you are hearing are made up of crested francolins and Natal spur fowls, and they're just giving their last call just before the sun sets this evening. So they're going to find some nice spots to roost and wait out the night until the sun rises again tomorrow. Well, the sun has just disappeared behind the horizon. We can't see it anymore. So I reckon in about 20 minutes or so it's going to be a lot darker than it is now. And hopefully we're going to be able to switch over to the infrared. And I cannot wait to see what is going to be out there for us later this evening. I haven't done a night drive in a while, actually, in a few months. Normally, like you see here, the game drives consist of usually about an hour of darkness, but not much after that. So it's going to be great to spend some time out in the African wilderness in the middle of the evening. Now you saw she pulled that branch up quite easily. That looks like a bit of sandpaper raisin that she ripped out of the ground. Now she's not really going to eat the branches that are coming off there. I think she's just going to chew on the roots. Kind of like a bunch of grapes, the way that they were all stuck together quite nicely. She didn't shake it though, so there's probably quite a bit of soil that she's eating now. There we go. Last few roots in her mouth they go. Oh, how exciting, everybody. I believe that James has got his infrared up and running. Why don't you head on over to him and see how that looks?
There we are, everybody, our little lioness. We've moved round. Her eyes are open. She might look like she's looking at us, but well, in theory, all she should see is couple of fairly dim red glows. She is in infrared, and as far as are we in black and white there. There, one of the males calling. She's going to call now. Let's see. One of the males was just calling. There we go. Interesting that she's doing most of the calling. Cool. Now one of the males is responding, but not the one here. It's interesting. One here is just lying there, wondering where his tail went. See? Can't quite figure out why it is that she feels like half a lion. Now, just to give you an idea, with my sort of naked eye, as it were, I can sort of make them out. Chandra, of course, has got a bright white light blinding me completely, but when I shield that from myself, I can just sort of make them out. These infrared lights are really quite special. And the thermal one is also pretty cool. And just in case you're wondering if there are leopards here, yes, we do see leopards here. We saw one leopard so far. We saw his back end sitting in a tree. He'd killed a wildebeest calf, I think. Oh, she's quite tired, but this, of course, as you know, is often a precursor to them getting up and moving, or licking their feet. Those claws that unfortunately were used to destroy the life of a little wildebeest calf today, but everything has to eat. I think we should make a little turn around them, don't you, Gendre? We'll get her face, unless we just let's wait here for a little while. We're not going to see anything coming down the road. I'm going to ask Graham to perhaps stick the flare down the road to see if there isn't another male coming yet, but it doesn't seem there is. There is the flare monitor, looking eerily Blair Witch style down the road. Oh, and there is the lioness, like an Egyptian god, pale white upon the termite mound. Isn't that cool? That's called infrared and thermal imaging. That's what we do here. That's how we roll at Wild Earth. That's me in infrared, Gendre. That's dangerous. Don't do that to me again. It's so cool. Now, it's pitch black dark now here in Vamara. I think you've still got a bit of light left in South Africa, which is quite cool. And we're into now the second drive in a row, as it were. And I must just tell you that while we look at these sleeping kitties, this is the first time I've ever heard myself present a full show. I can hear my own voice talking to myself exactly 1/2 second after I say what I say. It is very disconcerting, and my brain may explode before 11 o'clock tonight. Andre, we heard that. Was that your belly? Yeah. The other bad news, of course, is that we don't have our packed suppers with us, which means we're going to be very cranky at the end of this. Yes? Oh, there seems to be some heat there on the flare, everybody. I wonder if that ain't a herd of beefalo. Look at that. Seem to be a herd of buffalo heading this way. Alright, while we try and figure out what exactly those white spots are in the background, Jamie Patterson is back with the 8 little Nkahuma cubbies.
We are back with them, and my word, what a noise everybody's making. Bless you, girl. Lion cubs everywhere. Lioness is desperately trying to gather them all together as night starts to fall. How cool is this? There is not one single light on around our vehicle. And whilst I can still see them, the time is going to come very shortly when I cannot. Lionesses are contact calling constantly. I think gathering their cubs together at this time of day is kind of like herding wet cats. As they try to gather them together, possibly even try and find a safe place to leave them before they head out into the night to see if they can catch something. Because the one thing that's very noticeable is that whilst the males have full bellies, the females do not. One small antelope is not enough to feed 5 adult lionesses, especially not. Oh, wow, yes, very scary. Amazing. And right next to us, can I look back into camera, Dave? I can look back into camera. Right next to us is a lioness in almost total darkness, gently cleaning her cub. How incredible is this? The vision, ladies and gentlemen, of Graham Wallington and his incredible team is slowly but surely coming to life. Not that it hasn't already, but as technology reaches the point where we can bring you these scenes, I don't think we could be any more excited than we currently are. Look at you. This is something we've not been able to see. We've never been able to stay with these cubs after dark. And as I said, if they do move, then I am not going to be following them. Oh, it sounded like you were talking there, little one. Whoa. As the cubs have a little bit of an argument, let's jump all the way back to the Mara Triangle.
Link. Now we've moved slightly, everybody. This is the second male now. Got up and come across here, probably to see what's going on. He's exhausted after his walk of 150 meters. It's approximately 400 feet. He seems to be missing an ear, is he? Oh, I wonder. Maybe he's just got a scraggly, I've just got up haircut. But they are in prime conditions, these male lions. But they're not youngsters. You might be able to see they're just a bit fuller up. They're a bit fuller, a bit filled out compared with the Birminghams. And it's now completely dark outside. And what we'll do at some stage, not right now, is just show you exactly how dark it is by turning off the IR. He is now grazing. This is because he feels like he might be a wildebeest. No, he's decided I'm not a wildebeest after all. But I do have a slightly sore tummy after all the wildebeest I've been eating. Now the reason there are so many hundreds and thousands of different animals living on these plains is because of many of the grasses that you're looking at now that this lion is luxuriating in. And it's called, most of it's called Themida triandra, or red grass. Here they call it red oat grass, which is a rather more romantic name, I feel. And it just supports an incredible array of animals because the soil beneath it is so much more fertile than it is in southern Africa. And that's because in southern Africa you've got those big woodlands, and those woodlands are supported by soils that are far less fertile than the ones here. And that's because the ones in South Africa are much more ancient than the ones up here. There's relatively, well, in fact, very distant volcanic activity in this area, but much more recent than it was in southern Africa. And so that's why these great plains contain so many nutrients that are able to sustain this immense sward of red grass, and in turn the herbivores that come and eat on it year in and year out. I think the other interesting thing about the system while we watch this lion just licking his feet is that it really is an area of, just probably completely wilderness. You know, there's no human interference at all. They don't, well, there's no pumping of water, bar for one little pond that I saw that I think is more a borrow pit than it is pumped water. And also, crucially, there's one sort of management regime of the land, Huge areas of land get burned every year, and then they get rested. But because there's only one kind of landowner, it all gets treated in the same way, and I think that's a tremendously effective way to run a piece of wildlife land. Very nice. Just remember, we're as live as everyone else is, and we're going to be live. If you're surprised as to why we're still live, this is the Safari Marathon, if you like. We're going to be live for 7.5 hours, which means we do need to keep talking to you. Please hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarth.tv. And I know perhaps many of our British viewers are getting home from work or arriving home and thinking about cooking some fish and chips or mushy peas or some bangers, perhaps even. He is missing that ear, you know that. There we are. Is he? I think it's earless. Earless, pom-pomless, and a couple of others. They do have proper names if this is the male coalition we think they are, and I'll get to that a little bit later. So back to the British guests or British viewers. If you're watching, please, would be great to have some questions from you, of course, because it is now your time of having supper. While you think about what you're going to have, let's head across to Jamie, who has got still the Nkuhuma cubs in the last of the Southern African sunbite.
This is the weirdest and coolest feeling in the world. The lion is lying right in front of our vehicle. I can barely see her in the gathering darkness. I can just hear the noises coming from the front of the vehicle. And I'm effectively entirely reliant upon Dave to show me what's going on. This is so cool. Also, quite weird. Cubs having a tantrum, having a suckling tantrum. There they go. Wandering into the drainage line. Two of the cubs have just... Oh my word, this noise. Pardon? Awesome. I don't think my eyes have ever been so wide. Struggling to see in the dark. Where did that third lioness one? Where did she disappear to? I've got no idea. This is such a strange feeling. It's amazing how incredibly brave the cubs are at night as well. One of them's right next to our vehicle, right near the front. These two over there have been having such an argument over that piece of skin on the right. They have been fussing and growling at each other, making noises that you wouldn't even believe possible coming out of something so small. The fiercest of growls. They sound like adult lions. And they've been having the fiercest tug of war. And they just refuse to give in. A battle of wills going on. Those ears on the one on the right back flat. This is so surreal. I can hear them moving all around me, but I can't see them properly. It really is the strangest feeling. And right now we've just got to wait for them to move. Now, Tracy, you wanted to know, is it safe for us to be so close to the lions at night? And the answer is yes, it is. As we've said many times, when we're in the vehicle at night, we're not on their menu. When we're on foot at night, it's a totally different story. That being said, even though I know, rationally, I'm completely safe, and Dave is completely safe, there is still that part of us that is very, very primitive, and in the darkness, we're so aware. we're so robbed of our primary sense that you can't help but kind of have your head on a swivel. Your hearing suddenly 10 times better than it was before, and I keep peering backwards as if I'm going to see something. So whilst, yes, we are 100% safe, it is a very disconcerting feeling. It's a very, very strange feeling. Luckily, the cameraman and the presenters have been working together day after day, hour after hour, for an extended period of time. We always talk about presenter-cameraman sync when we chat in our review sessions, and this is where it's become more important than ever before. Like now, when I just heard a lioness trip over a log and come next to the vehicle. Dave was there. Thank you, Dave. I wondered where she went. Oh, sorry, let me move my head. I can't begin to describe this feeling to you. It's both exhilarating and my heart's racing at the same time, which I suppose is exhilaration in its own way. It's like being on a roller coaster. This is so unbelievably cool. Amber Eyes has disappeared. I have no idea where she is. What an interesting observation from Bethany, who says it looks like the back stripe on the back of the ears of the Nkuhumas are horizontal and those on the back of the ears in Kenya are vertical. You wanted to know if they're different for each individual lion. They're definitely different for each individual lion, as our lioness disappears into the darkness. But at the same time, I'm sure there is a genetic combination there. So if there's, in this particular area, if the genetics have gone towards horizontal ear stripes, then that's what we're going to see. Whereas... Sorry, I'm just listening to the Game Drive channel as well. I'm sure there is a genetic link. And the lions in Kenya will look different to the lions in South Africa. Hello, look at you. With your bright eyes. Ah, look at this. Hello. Gorgeous little faces. All the while we're watching these two cubs play, the other two, from what I can hear, I can't see, but I can hear, they are still furiously fighting over that piece of skin. Somewhere there. Somewhere in that general black direction. There we go. Well done, Dave. Dave's job is now infinitely more complicated because he's got to do all kinds of things like positioning of the infrared lights, positioning of the camera. So a serious round of applause for our incredible cameraman, who somehow managed to get better every single step that this company takes. A truce has been reached. They're just growling at each other now and holding the piece of skin. There's not even any meat on it. They've just got it in their mouths. Awesome. I can't see anything now. The light is dark enough, the sun has gone down enough that I absolutely cannot see anything. Except the beeping of the VR in the front, or the flashing of the VR in the front, that I can see. Oh, such fierce growls. can actually see how incredibly important that black on the back of the ears is. Oh, here we go, we've got some calling again, as our third lioness rejoins us once more. I'm keeping largely silent because half of the magic of the sighting is the sounds that are coming from these lions. This is amazing. I've been listening keenly to the Game Drive channel at the same time, and some interesting things have been happening. Let's jump on board with Taylor and see if there's more that she can tell you.
Hello again, everybody. I just found us a big male leopard, but he has now disappeared into some very, very thick vegetation, I'm afraid. He's been quite vocal, so I'm just going to sit here patiently and hope that I can call again, just so he can pinpoint his location to us. It's one of the resident male leopards known as Tingana, and boy is he a beautiful boy. But I can't see where he's gone now. It seems like he's come from the north and he's coming south. So I was really hoping that he was going to pop out just over here. And I'm waiting for Aubrey to also come and give us a hand. When these animals do move through the very thick vegetation, it makes it quite difficult to move along through here. Let's carry on a little bit. Perhaps he's on his way to the Djuma Dam to have a look. To have a drink. So if you can, please keep an eye out on the dam cam for me in case he makes it there before I do. And I'm just going to jump on the radio just to try and find out where Aubrey is, because I really, really need his help. He's got a tracker, and his tracker helps a lot, because when maneuvering off-road, he's got someone to help him and tell him where to sort of drive. Aubrey, Taylor. Aubrey, I don't have visual of this, my daughter Ingwe. I don't know if he's gone through the Chkovenin that runs just to the north of Vuyatela towards the Mati. I'm going to carry on with Galago shortcut, and head towards the dam. Goodness, it's so difficult to multitask with all these things. Let's go around here. He didn't come out, unless he's gone into the camp itself. I'm not sure. Okay, right everybody. I think let's go to James and see what he's up to while I try and navigate through the drainage lines here on Djuma and try and find Tingana.
Now that's just a brief shot, everybody, of what you're looking at there. It's one lion in the foreground and a herd of buffaloes coming this way from the other side. Now, this of course is why we came here. Let's go down to the IR view of the actual lion. That's me. Hello. The lion is over there. And there he is, over the top of the snorkel. And we're here, of course, to try and see if we can follow a lion hunt at night, and you can see that there is clear space between the buffalo and the lion. But these lions have been roaring, and so their enthusiasm for hunting, well, it must be called into question. But let's see what happens. This is a great opportunity to see if the lions of the Mara are going to hunt the buffalo across these plains. It would be quite something to see. We thought for a second they might be gnus, but no, they're not. They're definitely buffalo. They're too big. Sitting next to me, you may have seen there, is Simon, and Simon is the head warden at the Ulololo Gate, which is the major... Oh, this is exciting. I'll tell you a bit more about Simon later. Taylor has got the spotted prince of cats.
We just keep missing him, everybody. He's disappearing into the darkness, as you can see. I haven't switched to infrared just yet, everybody, just because it's proving difficult to try and keep up with him, and I really need to be able to see where I'm going. Let's try and get him again. He's playing cat and mouse this evening, but I'm so excited because it's the first time I'm able to see Tingana And I know Jamie had such a special sighting of him the other day. Now he's very vocal. He just called again, so hopefully we're going to be able to catch him calling for us, because it's quite a beautiful sound. It's not quite like a lion roar. There he is on the road again, and I just need to tell Aubrey that we've got him. Aubrey, we're still on shortcut, Gallagher shortcut. He's little mobile east. There's one unlock, Makulu Madora Ingwe, one making the approach. He's going to mark over here. Can you see that? See how he's spraying his urine up against this tree. Listen, listen. Can you all hear that? Now this is Karula's territory, everybody. So I wonder if he's perhaps looking for her, or he could also be doing a territorial patrol with him marking his territory like that. He's maybe just indicating to everybody that, oh, let me get out of four-wheel drive, otherwise we're not going to be able to go anywhere. Maybe he's just indicating to the other male leopards that this area is occupied. This is quite exciting. I'm going to be doing a lot of turning around and trying to focus on where I'm going. Oh no, please don't go into the thick bushes, Tingana. Until he settles down, I think we're going to stay with just a spotlight. And when he becomes a little more static, then we'll try and switch to IR. It's just very thick vegetation through here, everybody. But isn't he beautiful? He's a big leopard. And I believe he's about 9 years old. And he doesn't even have a neck anymore. He's just got a dewlap. Can you see that? Look when he turns to the side there. Now that's an indication that he is well mature. Fantastic genetics. And we're going to try and keep up with him. He's very relaxed with the vehicles, which is quite nice. Here he is, just going to come out to the left of us. Everyone, I just need to update the sighting. There are lots of people asking away here. Modora Ingwe still mobile along a shortcut, Gallagher shortcut. He's mobile in an easterly direction. I presume he's going to head to the Mati, to Puza. There's one unlock, one standing by, or I think two mobiles now standing by at the Mati. Right, everybody, let's carry on following this man. Isn't it incredible? I was uncertain if we were going to see a leopard this evening. We were actually stopping using the luxury facilities, and I got quite a fright, obviously. Basically, it got caught with my pants down and the leopard calling in the distance. Can you imagine how frightening that must have sounded? Quite funny, though. And now he's walking straight down the middle of the road, everybody. When he goes to this dam, and I'm thinking that's what he's going to do, he's heading straight there, then we will switch to infrared, because hopefully we'll get a few moments with him when he's not moving too much. It's just unfortunately going to be too difficult for me to try and navigate if he does decide to go down into one of these drainage lines. There he is. Oh my goodness, he's giving us a show this evening. Let's try to keep up with him again. Isn't that incredible? That raspy call that he does. That's quite spectacular. And hopefully maybe we'll be able to try and follow him for quite a while this evening and see what he gets up to, seeing as we're going to be staying out nice and late this evening. So I hope you've all got your popcorn ready and a nice cup of tea or something along those lines, just to keep you going for the next few hours. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to go left or are you going to go right? You're actually maybe not even going to go to the water. While I try and navigate through this thick vegetation that this leopard is heading into now, I think head on to James and the Mara, and I think he's also following a big cat.
The lion has got up, everyone. He made a big roaring noise, of course, And then we thought, well, he's obviously not going to try and kill a buffalo if he's shouting at them. And he's managed to get up, and he's now walking towards the others. So let's see what happens here. We might see all three brothers together, which will be very exciting. And he seems to be marking his territory there. We'll just switch off here a second. He's walking straight towards them. He's just going over this little dry drainage line area. I think we're still alive. I seem to have lost the final control. Andre, you still got them?
Nope.
We may or may not be live. Oh, we still have us. That's excellent. Good stuff. Oops. Oh, just dropped my Skype call. This area is a disaster for signal. And rate the quality of the call, it wants to know. 1 out of 5. It's going to get for that one. Right, so we're just going to see what he does. If he goes flat with the others, we might consider going towards the herd of buffalo, because behind that herd of buffalo, apparently today, the rest of the lions were. So that would be interesting. And there was a rumour of another male with them, a young male apparently. But this is just hearsay. Move a little bit closer. I have to turn the lights on a bit, otherwise I can't see anything, and we'll drive into the riverbed, and I will be in immeasurable amounts of trouble. See what we can get here. Let's try and figure out why. Right, I'm not sure. We're trying to get hold of the final control. We've lost them for now. That's okay. We'll figure it out as we go along. We'll just let him get a little bit used to us, and then we'll move up next to him and see if we can't get all three of them in one shot.
Stream's still going. The reason why we've lost comms is because we've parked here. This is where we lost it before. This is where the Safari SIM cards fall out. We are still live.
Ah. Right, let me just do this quickly. We're just going to keep watching everybody.
Sorry about that, everybody. James's communication disappeared. Dave and I have just had one of the most intense experiences, certainly the most intense experience of my life, Dave.
Yes.
It was unbelievable. This is absolutely the most bizarre feeling in the world. The lions, all of them, the males, the females, the cubs, started to roar. We can't see a thing. I don't even know exactly where they are. I can't tell you how incredible that was. I'm actually shaking. I always used to, when we had lions roaring, I'd switch off all my vehicle lights with guests. But that was different, because you got your piece of skin. You got to take that all the way with you, little one, as you go on a journey. It's going to be hard work. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. As I said, I used to switch off all the time with lions roaring next to us, but we had lights on at one point, and we were able to use lights at that time. That was this earth-shattering sound all around us, everywhere around us. On Central Road and Yala Road, the males calling. That was so cool, and at the same time slightly terrifying. And just like that, I have absolutely no idea where the lions are. Really, seriously, that was incredible. Holy moly. I had my spotlight in my hand just in case I needed to see where I was and what I needed to do. I don't know where the lions are. It's probably time for us to move. I think they have moved off, so we'll be able to reposition. And while we do that, let's go across to Taylor for an update.
Everybody, I'm doing some interesting driving over here, but don't worry, a lot of these trees that I'm going over are dead. Can you see him? Oh, Eggsy's pointing him out to me. We just need to try and find a way through here. We've got lots of aerials and cameras and things that we need to watch out for. Eggsy, are you looking out for that aerial? I've lost him, everybody. Where did he go? There he is. I found him again. He's just in the distance, so I want to see if I can edge on closer to him, but through the easiest way. Now, he's decided that he's not going to give himself up so easily tonight. He's going to make us work for it, which is fine, but it is getting awfully thick, I'm afraid. I'm still waiting for Aubrey to come and help us. I think we're going to have to try a different route. And I'm fine there. Sorry everybody, I'm going to be quiet for a few moments just while I try and move around here. Trying to find where this male leopard has now disappeared. Where did you go? I've completely lost him now. Ooh. No, that's not him. That's Aubrey making his way into the sighting. I have no idea where this leopard has gone, everybody. It is very thick, as you can see. Let me shine the lights for you. Just have a look how dense it is. It doesn't actually look too bad, but there's lots of trees and things that are quite high that I can't go over. So I'm going to see if I can't send Aubrey in to try and have a look, and so we can find a spot that we can go through. His vehicle is a lot sort of lower than ours. Right, let's try and get out of here and find another way around, because this way is impenetrable. So he's obviously doing his rounds, and I think he's not interested in the ladies at the moment. I think he's just advertising to everybody that this is his territory. I'm going to have to chat to Aubrey as well, just to let him know that I don't know where he is. I don't know, maybe we can go through here. We can only try. Please excuse me while I maneuver around everyone. I apologize for not chatting away to you. I'm trying my best at multitasking. Sorry, I almost had a stick jump out and bite me on the head. Okay, I think down here, let's try and meander through this thicket, past this big marula tree. Hopefully Aubrey knows his routes a bit better, and he'll be able to gauge where he's gone. Let's sneak through here. My multitasking skills are improving though. We're also making sure we don't drive over any thorn branches. Otherwise, getting a puncture out here at this time of the night is going to be extremely interesting. And this leopard was moving at quite a speed, so I have absolutely no idea where he's gone now. But we will keep scanning away, and hopefully we pick up on either his eye shine. He's given us a slip. He's gone more west of us, everybody. I don't know if you heard that in the distance. Let's quickly head around. And it just shows you, even though we've got spotlights and cameras and all sorts of things on him, we can't get him. Right, let me send you over to James, I think. I'm going to have to do some very nice bundu bashing, as we call it.
Now Now we've left the lions, everyone. They're fast asleep, but they can sense something's up, possibly just the fact that we've come after them, and we're now sitting here in the pitch black darkness, shining a very dim red glow on them. And this is one of the great joys of what we're doing out here, of course, is that we can view animals we don't normally see in the night, during the night. And that means we can assess what their behavior is at this time of the day, because normally we wouldn't be looking at them. I suspect on a warm night like this, these buffalo will probably feed a bit, and then as it gets towards the late night, they'll probably lie down and chew the cud. They would have heard those lions. We're not far from them now, probably only about, I don't know, about a kilometre or so, no, less, probably about 400 metres, a quarter of a mile from where where the lions are. But they were roaring, and so whether they'll try and hunt the buffalo or not, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they know the buffalo are here. They would have heard them grunting and groaning as they've walked along. But we'll wait and see what happens. What we were rather hoping to do is head down the road here and see if we couldn't find the rest of this pride, the Quichua pride, and introduce ourselves to the other 5 lionesses. Sandra, I think you're going to have to kill that light because of the quite astonishing number of insecta there. Jose, I don't know. I think that's quite an interesting question you're asking there. I think, if I heard your question correctly, you're trying to find out if the animals are able to see in infrared at all, and perhaps they can see. Perhaps we're assisting them with their view of the world. I think it's possible. I don't know that I think some animals see in a form of infrared. Infrared, of course, is a lower wavelength than we're able to see. And I think some animals could certainly see it, especially those perhaps that have to see at night. But I don't think it'll look anything like the picture you're looking at now, which is quite astonishing given how pitch black dark it is outside. The moon apparently will come up at around 9 o'clock local time, that's 8 o'clock Central African time. So that'll be quite interesting to see. I'm not sure, looking above me here, there are some stars, a smattering, but it's quite a cloudy night. So we'll sit with these beefies for a little while, and then we'll make our way down the road and see if we can't find those other lionesses, because it would be just very special to see the whole pride and introduce ourselves to them, so that they all know what you look like and what you sound like, and me too. And they know what Gendre's socks smell like. Now, I think I may have made a mistake. I told Gendre to turn off the presenter light because it was attracting insects, but now, of course, the monitors inside the screen are attracting every fly this side. Oh, listen. Listen. Calling again. And you can see the buffalo not particularly worried about it, but they're definitely aware of exactly where that sound's coming from. So they all turn to face, obviously decided they're not close enough to be of too much worry, and they've got on with it. They may well lie down here. They haven't moved very fast since we first spotted them with the flare. And maybe, Gendre, shall we try another flare shot? I will hold it up for you. There is my head, everybody. Look at what they look like. Isn't that amazing? That is so cool. You see there, Gendre, one of them has just relieved itself. And its dung is still warm. That's an astonishing thing to behold. It's quite a good way of tracking, I suppose. You can tell how fresh some dung is. Now that buffalo looking at us, I think, is looking at the sound of my voice. There I am, everybody. I don't think it probably can smell us too, obviously, but I don't think it's looking at us. Let's so cool. Chewing the cud. Herds of buffalo here compared with the Sabi Sand, I thought have been quite similar, you know. We don't see many of them in the Sabi Sand, but when we do, they're sort of 150 to 200 strong, and that's been roughly the same as here. Yeah, smelling now. You just see the nose lifting. Jean, what about the other side of the car? I think there's one there. I heard some...
Which side, sorry, James?
Sorry, to the left. Let's just see how far the extent of this herd goes. There we are. There they are. It's a good sized herd this year. I'd say about 250 belching animals, and they're staring at us now. Not particularly sure of what they're looking at. They can smell diesel. Like I say, Gendre's socks. Yeah, one of the members at the back of the vehicle making a slight belch there, and I'm sure they can sense that, wondering what it is. Maybe they think there's a buffalo in the back of this car. But not affected. They're quite interested. You can see carrying on with the business of chewing the cud. Not in the least bit worried. Which is exactly what we want out here. Cool. So if you have just joined us, everyone, we have extended the drive, of course, for a extra four and a half hours. Quite a nice extension to our normal drive. And that is, of course, to explore the night creatures that are going on in the Sabi Sands in South Africa, and, of course, here in the Mara Triangle. And what we're hoping for over the course of the next 5 nights is to be able to follow the lions on the hunt. And it's a unique opportunity here, because you can basically drive over an immense area, and we also know, of course, that it's clear, it's open. It's not the woodland of the Sabi Sand, and while the Nkuhumas have killed 3 times, I believe, in the last few nights, and you may well get an Nkuhuma kill while we're watching these shows, we're hoping that we're going to get a Kenyan kill over here in the Mara Triangle. It will be very special indeed. Especially if the wildebeest come back. We've had rain for the last 3 nights. We think they could well come wandering back here. That one's just having a sniff at the air. Wet nose, obviously in fine health. Hello Janet, I think I heard your question correctly. Unfortunately, someone in the final control seemed to be headbutting the wall while the question was being asked. I think your question was, do I think that animals sense differently at night from during the day? Well, here we go. Am I not a bit afraid of being next to the animals in the dark because they may scent us differently in the darkness? No, I'm no more afraid, because I think they're very used to us. It's an interesting one, though. You know, if we were in a completely open vehicle next to lions we didn't know at all, would I be a little bit nervous? Maybe for a little while, but we know those lions in the Sabi Sand, we can sit next to them all night long, and we have done often with the lights off. They don't treat us any differently from the way they treat us now. And so, no, I'm not nervous at all. Do I think they scent us differently? Yes, probably slightly, but in the same way that you at night, when you wake up in the dead of the night and you perhaps need to go and get a snack from the kitchen, you use your ears and your sense of touch and your sense of smell to get you to the kitchen rather than your eyes. And I think it's the same very much for these animals here. Oh, Taylor's got a very interesting little primate to show you.
I don't know if you're going to be able to get a good view of this, everybody. We're just trying to find it. Go down a little bit, Eggsy. Down. There we are. Now you can see a little tail, and we have actually got a bush baby in the tree. We were racing around to try and find a Tingana who was moving through some thick vegetation, but we'll hopefully try and follow up on him. There we go. Look at this bush baby. Look at the little. Oh, have a look at the fingers. Look at the hands. If it does sit still again, that's going to be amazing. But unfortunately, they do jump quite a bit. And let's see if we can maybe get one more glimpse of it. Maybe it's come out into the open for us. It's a nice warm evening. Oh no, unfortunately I can't find it anymore. Where did you go? Oh, there I see movement on the trees. My goodness, it's hopping away. It's over here. There it is. Can you see it? Have a look, have a look. Oh my goodness, you are so lucky, everybody, to be seeing this little bush baby. So if you can zoom in a little bit more, I want you to have a look at its feet and its hands. It's quite difficult. It's obviously quite dark. Maybe should we try infrared while it's sitting here? Let's have a look. Can you see it there? It's quite difficult. You can just see the glow of its eyes now. But what I wanted to tell you about this Galago, this bush baby, sorry everybody, I got so excited, was that they've got incredible little hands. I don't know if you saw very quickly a glimpse of how fat their fingers are. Now we can't go in too much with. Oh, there's another one! What on earth is going on this evening? We have been so lucky. Look at the two of them. I'm chopping and jumping. I'm so excited. Did you see how they were grooming each other? And I can hear Tingana in the background as well. I think he may have crossed out of our property, unfortunately, but we'll spend some time with these bush babies. So these look like two adults. Possibly it's a male and a female. Now, both of them are territorial. They both actually mark and defend territories. And very much like a leopard, you'll have many females that have got much smaller territories. And then you'll have a male who comes through and sees all these lovely females. So that is quite amazing. Normally you just see them on their own, but unfortunately they have leapt out of our view now. But that was quite spectacular. As I drive, we're going to try our luck and see if Tingana is still around. I wanted to tell you now about their hands, and I don't know if you managed to see the very broad fingers that they had. And those are amazing how they've adapted for obviously climbing as well as for grabbing insects. They'll grab insects while they're leaping in the air. They'll grab a flying insect, or they will grab something on the ground too. That was very special, everybody. A very short glimpse, but how amazing to see two unusual creatures. Let's head back to James and see how he's faring in the Mara.
Jamie here, not James, I'm afraid to say. But we do have a lion. Might not be a Mara triangle lion, but there's definitely a lion. We have let the Nkuhumas and their cubs wander off after our incredible experience with them all around the vehicle. And for now we have returned to our Birmingham boy, who is still lying up quite comfortably in the middle of the road and showing no inclination that he's going to go wandering off. So Mike is here with some guests, so we're just going to speak quite quietly, and that's the light that you are seeing. Because it is an adult lion, we are able to spotlight him, which is where the extra level of illumination is coming from. It looks really cool though. This whole experience has been utterly incredible. And he goes about cleaning his mane. How's that? This is all very, very cool. Such an amazing experience. I haven't even thought about my lunchbox. That's how amazing an experience it has been. Oh wow, those scars look even more impressive in this light. There's an intense look for you. Now, James Bear, my goodness, yes, you asking a question that I was asking myself as well, which is are the lions reacting any differently to us at night than they are during the day? And the answer is no, and I didn't really expect them to be honest. We know that lions react differently when we're on foot at night, as opposed to during the day, but they've never reacted differently to us in vehicles at night. Not in my experience in the bush. They might be a little bit bolder. The cubs, I think, were the biggest difference. The cubs were a lot more relaxed with us at night than they are during the day. They walked right up to the vehicle. They didn't even give us a secondary glance. I think they do just feel a bit more secure at night. So it wasn't that we were feeling as if we were in any more danger. It's just interesting to see how they respond to us without spotlights. And the answer was they didn't respond any differently to any other time that we've sat with them at night with lights. It was just the cubs that were interesting because they were much more relaxed. But as you can see, I mean, this Birmingham boy is just ignoring us. Now, Christine, you wanted to know what the concern is with following the cubs at night. That was a decision that we came to after a couple of after discussions, and my decision was that the additional noise as we follow them at night, and it's very, very difficult to drive without lights. I felt that it was a step too far. I didn't want to interfere with their nightly activities in a way that might compromise them, and I can't see all that well when I'm driving without lights. So I can't drive purely with the infrared. I have to have lights on, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to see more than 10 meters in front of my vehicle, and I'm not prepared to take that chance. So that was my reasoning behind why I decided we would not be following cubs at night. Extra noise, extra sound. I can't see as well as I can see during the day or with my lights on. I'm trying to move out of your way. Oh, this is so cool. Oh. Cool. Okie dokie then.